Hey everyone, just some background info to set up the story. My dad is a stereotypical white boomer man. He believes that as the man of the house, everything belongs to him. He likes to remind my mom that she would be nothing without him and is dependent on his generosity. My mom has a giant tortoise named Duncan that she rescued several years ago. Mom does all of the daily care, while I built the enclosure and house for her. It took me a few months and over $2,000 in supplies to get Duncan a suitable habitat. At the time, we agreed that the wood and supplies belonged to me, as I bought all of it, and did all the work to design and build the house. About a year ago, I moved into an apartment. I had talked with my parents, and they agreed that when I got my own house, I would take Duncan and her house/pen and she would become my tortoise. Recently, Mom has been having health issues, so Duncan will have to be rehomed since I can't keep her in an apartment. I talked to one of my friends who owns her own home, and she would love to take Duncan. She has a fenced-in yard, so she won't need any of the wood, just the house and Duncan. Mom and I were on board with this idea, and we thought that Dad would store the wood until I had my own house. Well, the other day my mom overheard my dad talking about all the stuff he was going to build with MY wood. He never asked me, never asked my mom, didn't say a word to either of us. He was just going to take it. She asked him about it later, and he just waved her off and said it was none of her business. Since I left it in his property, obviously I don't want it so he can do whatever with it. She mentioned how much I paid for it, and he said that she could write me a check. Not him and his money, but Mom and her meager savings. She only gets a few $100s of Social Security a month, and he expects her to use all of it to pay me off so he can use my wood. Now I don't need the wood, and I can't use it. If he had asked, I'd be happy to let him use it, and I wouldn't have asked for money either. But because of how rude and entitled he is being, I reached out to my friend and told her that I'll give her the wood too, and she can use it for whatever she wants. She accepted, but said that she probably won't use it. Well, my dad caught wind that I'm planning on moving my stuff without his permission, and he is pissed. It's not his stuff, it's not his tortoise. He has no involvement in this entire situation. But he wants to dictate the whole thing, and he is very upset that Mom and I made plans without consulting him. Moving that much wood would require renting a truck and getting several people's help. My friend doesn't need the wood, and I don't either. So I'm going to be spending more money and more time just to make sure my dad doesn't get his way for once. Is that too petty? Should I just let him have the wood? Commenter. Info. Where did the money to purchase the $2,000 of wood and supplies come from? And how old are you? Not asking to be disrespectful, I truly think it matters to my answer. OP. I'm 23, and I worked all throughout high school and started working full-time after I graduated. It was all my money that I earned. Commenter. NTA. But it'll take more than $2,000 worth of wood to rebuild whatever bridge you and your dad seem to enjoy torching. Sometimes they need to be burned, though. OP. I don't think there ever was a bridge. I used to think we were super close. Then I realized that I was just blindly obedient. As soon as I started disagreeing and having my own opinions, I saw my loving father turn into a nasty, spiteful, vindictive man. OP is voted NTA, but comments are mixed. Update. I want to thank you all for your responses. I appreciate your time. Unfortunately, I can't use any of your advice, as my mom has decided against rehoming Duncan. She can't bring herself to part with her beloved tortoise. Instead, she has asked me to redesign Duncan's house to be more accessible for her. So the next time I have a few days off, I'll be going over there and working on that. I brought up some of your concerns for her safety in that conversation. Apparently she has her shit together, but didn't want to worry my siblings or I with her marital issues. She has a separate bank account that my father doesn't know about, and she's been stashing money for years. She has also looked up divorce laws in our state and knows her rights. She told me that the second my dad lays a finger on her, she will be leaving and taking him to the cleaners. I'm keeping my mouth shut, because Dad still thinks she's a naive little housewife and she likes it that way. I appreciate your concern for my mom, and some of your comments about my dad made me laugh. Him and I have had a strained relationship for the last few years, as he is very racist, misogynistic, and homophobic. He said some very unkind things to me when I came out. It's been very hard for me to realize that my dad loved the image of the perfect daughter, and not his actual daughter. We were very close then, a switch flipped and we weren't anymore. To anyone asking to see Duncan, I will try to upload some pictures of her and her penthouse. She's a cutie patootie,